Let's play some sound here. I want to get I want to know because I think, well, with a bad back, maybe not. I don't believe that Tony can withstand what this, even at this age, would feel like backing down. And it's no slight on Tony. It's just a celebration of the strength of what it takes to get to the top of professional sports. But the thing that I wanted to play for Meech here, because we're talking about this the last couple of days, I haven't seen it. I started to watch it last night, and I heard my voice in it in the first little bit, and then I turned it off. I'm like, hold on a second, honey. And then I'm like, we're going to watch this together. I want to watch what this thing is, because Aaron Rodgers, in my lifetime, you have whatever opinion you want to have about him. You cannot say he's uninteresting. You're not allowed to say he's uninteresting. You may be tired of him and sick of him, but this story is something that has not been seen in American sports. Someone this great going from televised national insurance salesman, when that league gives you 10 guys who get the endorsement money. 10 guys get to be face of the league for that entire monster sport. He was one of them, and was embracing, as I've told you before, going to the apartment of Mina Kimes. Let me get out in the public and show them more of myself. I'm a 4-time MVP. I've been arguing that that's the best quarterback I've ever seen. I argued it while Tom Brady was winning the titles. Better at that skill than anyone I've ever seen. To see him then short circuit into something that now has a documentary, Enigma, where he keeps claiming he doesn't care what people think, but he keeps going out of his way to show people that they should think something, because he wants to be seen, understood, accepted. Yesterday on the show, Billy said, I don't think I'm going to love him. I don't think I'm going to grow in a documentary with more information and access to love him. I think I'm sad for him because he seems empty, seems unhappy, seems like he's searching. But aren't we all? He does so with ayahuasca, and now he's revealing himself with a story that I don't think has much precedent in American sports. Someone like this doing this, and now people are like sick of him. I don't want to talk about anti-vax stuff. But here he is still on Disney, still with McAfee, after there was a howling a year ago about that's not going to exist anymore. Soon that'll be gone. Nah, it's not gone. There it is, 4-10 team, middle of your week, on Disney. There's Aaron Rodgers saying, show me your vax status. When I play this sound for you of Ryan Clark, because Ryan Clark works at ESPN, and there's just a tension around this thing that exists at ESPN that isn't like ESPN, and people like Ryan Clark have Disney as the backing, but here's Aaron Rodgers every week, 4-10, not gone. Disney can't get rid of him. Disney couldn't do anything. There he is with McAfee every week. And here's Ryan Clark, bothered by what it is that Aaron Rodgers is doing on McAfee.
Because if we've learned anything from Mina Kimes, you don't actually have to step on the field to be excellent at the job of analyzing football. And I spoke to that hypocrisy because you were getting paid to do that. And as far as your vaccination status, so you can stop trying to trick people into thinking that we want to talk about that above the stink of your film, I've never heard it one more time after your incident. And the only reason we spoke about it then was because based on your vaccination status, it was going to determine how long you were out. And also, people didn't care that you weren't vaccinated. They cared that you were slimy about it. They cared that you were deceitful. And in analyzing you, what I know is your QBR is 21st. I also know that you're the quarterback of a 4-10 team who has to win the last 3 games of the season to even be equal to what last year's team was without you. Now, I get it. You get on the show and you talk about my brooch and you curse and all this tough talk. I just need you to know, don't none of that scare me. I'm gonna do my job the way I'm supposed to do it.
Meech, what are your thoughts in general? I don't know how much attention you're paying to Aaron Rodgers. You know next to nothing about American football, but I bet you know something about him, yes?
A conspiracy theorist and slightly oddball as far as I can tell. But that's it. That's all I know. He made a bit of news in the United Kingdom because of him being outspoken about vaccination. but that's literally all I know. I don't understand. I mean, it's one of those things where so many sports people get told to shut up and dribble, depending on what it is they want to advocate about. And then you've got people like him who get to say off-the-wall stuff that will kill people. And that's a fundamental truth of this. If you talk about the way your new incoming health secretary is talking about polio, vaccinations, you're going to get more polio and more people will die. More people will have lives of misery who shouldn't. And I don't think that you should be allowed to do that just because you played sports. There are some things you're not qualified to talk about, and those are one of those things for him. But again, I don't know him. There's so many other things in this world that you could influence with your power. I don't understand why this would be it. And the idea of self-exploration, by the way, is bullshit. Don't self-explore while you're doing harm to others. Self-explore in your own mind, in your own house, with academics and influential and inspirational people that you can pay to be around you. But you don't have to do that while you're experimenting and clumsily making other people fall for the same bollocks that you're falling for. That's my problem with it.
Have any of you seen Enigma yet? Because I'm looking forward to seeing this.
I haven't seen it, but I saw the clip of him on ayahuasca talking about the caterpillar and the butterfly.
Giggling.
It made me feel incredibly sad, right? Because this is supposed to be, for some people, an awakening and enlightening experience. For other people, it does a lot of harm, right? It depends on your body chemistry, on how you react to whatever it is that you're ingesting, that you don't always know exactly what's in there, right? So when you look at him having that experience, like, man, that should be not on camera. That should be something for you to experience because you made that decision to do that. Like, I don't want to see it.
Surrounded by people who love and will care for you, not surrounded by people who want to
Strangers.
exploit this footage to sell a show. It's crazy to me.
So this is the part that I'm curious about. Kanye West was pretty much always that person. Now, he's gotten way more off the beaten path as time has gone on, but many people who knew him 20 years ago, 25 years ago, like, yep, that's who he's always been. And we just didn't know the mass public, right? Or we didn't get the full grasp of it. Was Aaron Rodgers always like this and we just didn't know?
Not in plain sight. Not in plain sight. If he was, he was concealed. The same way he was immunized. Like if he was wearing if he was this, it was hidden.
So like that's my question though. Like some people change, like legitimately change and unravel or whatever. Did he unravel, or was he always like this and he just had a great like facade?
So having read his book, Going to Cal.
Listen to it.
Really, I read it with my ears. And so going to Cal, he was brought up very Christian. He had an interesting upbringing, and going to Cal really broadened his horizons in that, these other deities, they're good people too. And he started questioning his identity with religion, and that led him to questioning pretty much everything. And as the years went on, as he dated Olivia Munn around that time frame, he really changed his personality. And it's kind of like a line of demarcation where, he was able to conceal it publicly for some time. We had him on the show. He would allude to things, never go full bore into them. And then the pandemic hit, and it just all unraveled publicly.
I wouldn't underestimate the power of kind of social pressure too. Because some of these people that were wondering, were you always like this or did you hide it? It's not really about that. Sometimes it's more calculated than that. There are things that people talk about now because they know they can talk about them. It is okay to have a conversation with somebody who can still be seen credible, who thinks that the earth is flat, or who thinks that dinosaurs didn't exist, or that birds are drones. The social pressure against those people is gone, whereas I still think that if you talk about those things, you're a little bit of a crackpot.
John, I'm curious because, again, like you work with a lot of people in this regard. What is the long-term impact of the pandemic? Like, I feel like people changed. That thing changed people in a way that I didn't feel impacted. Like, it sucked and it was like a boring time and a scary time. But I don't think about it much now. And I feel like me in 2019 is pretty much the same as me right now. But I feel as I go around, I see these videos of people freaking out on airplanes and just acting a fool in public. I feel like the pandemic changed something in people, like on an emotional stability level. Do you experience that, or is that just kind of anecdotal?
No, I think there are some, the data is out because not enough time has passed for people to do really good studies on this. But there's a couple of things. One is that the pandemic was amazingly exploited by people who wanted to challenge authority of every kind. So you're talking about people normally in planes, when you're told by a flight attendant to do something, you just do something and you don't kick off because you know there's consequences. Whereas now, the very act of violating that authority is empowering for people. Being thrown off a plane, going onto a no-fly list, puts you in the rarest of air. And there's a group of people who exploited that to try and make people anti-authoritarian. And we've seen the impact of that on, frankly, a governmental scale in this country and in Britain. The other side of this is that one of the defenses that a lot of people had against their minds working against them was the presence of other people. Even the meaningless kind of, I'm hanging out after work, catching up and playing softball or whatever people do, that was a defense against you being in your head and your head coming up with some crazy shit that wasn't challenged. But all of a sudden the pandemic came and a whole bunch of people find themselves alone with their thoughts, perhaps for the first time, and night after night after night, and especially after the moments of, that Zoom wine catch-up that everybody hated after. Once that died down, you suddenly realized it's just me and my thoughts, allowing them to spin and spin. And after a few months, an idea that you would have thought unconscionable, completely ridiculous, became embedded as something that you've always believed. And then you left, and you're now suddenly surrounded by people with these very unusual, sometimes dangerous thoughts. I think that's part of it too.